Good afternoon. Welcome everyone who has joined us in Media Center in Ukrinform. It's the 216th day of the full-scale invasion of the Russian aggressors to our land. And I'm grateful to everyone who tells the world the truth about this war. And right now we'll be discussing the situation in Mariupol. Our speaker is Vadym Boichenko, mayor of the city of Mariupol. Mr. Vadym, hello. Hello. Let's start with the most relevant topic for today, which are pseudo-referenda that are happening at the occupied territories. What's happening in Mariupol, how they're taking place, those sham referenda, and what do the locals tell about this? It's a very correct question indeed. Let's find out what the referendum is all about. This is a tool which represents direct democracy. So if we look accurately at the term, namely that this is the expression of will of the majority of people, so how is it even possible at the temporarily occupied territories? If we look at Mariupol, which had 541,000 residents before the invasion, while right now, because of the filtration centers, people are not allowed to leave Mariupol. More than 100,000 of the residents left. So can we claim that they are the majority of the population? Where do we have the majority of people now? Thanks to each Mariupol resident, they are all around the Ukrainian territory. More than 200,000 people left as IDPs to live elsewhere in Ukraine. So how does the sham referendum is happening? Well, it could not even be called a referendum because I believe it's just a poll. That's my personal opinion. Why? Because right now it's just a small portion of people that has to tick the box. Why? Because a person with a machine gun comes to your apartment and asks you, can you go and vote? Well, what can you do when a person with a gun comes to your place of residence? So people are forced to go and vote. And it's still a minority of people who are forced to tick the box. And that's what they're telling themselves. So how many people? 20% from 100,000 that they forcefully keep in Mariupol. Could it be the tool of direct democracy? No, that's just sociology. That's just a survey, a poll. And now, thanks to each Ukrainian residents of Mariupol who are not ticking the boxes, and we can see that there are only few people do vote. You've seen the videos, how they go along the streets and they shout out, come out and vote, and nobody comes out. Why? Because people now recognize who ruined their houses. It's impossible to carry out so-called referenda in the city that is destroyed by 50%, the city that has been ruined by 90%, the city that unfortunately has felt such horrors from Russian aggression that killed more people than Nazis in 2 years of occupation in the Second World War. And they did it in 2 months now. So what sort of direct expression of will can you talk about? This is a survey, this is a poll that the Russian Federation is conducting now at the territory of the occupied Mariupol. Full stop. Well, a poll with machine guns, well, that's still not the right practice. Yeah, exactly. Now, let me remind you what happened on Saturday, September the 24th, when all the esteemed Mariupol residents at the support centers in 13 biggest cities in Ukraine, we have support centers for Mariupol residents, and thousands of them came there and said no to referendum, yes to Ukraine. Mariupol was, is, and will remain a Ukrainian city. Yeah, that was quite an inspiring event when Mariupol residents all across Ukraine stepped out and claimed that Mariupol is Ukraine. the rest of the territory of Ukraine, not occupied territory, more than 200,000 residents of Mariupol stepped out on Saturday, September the 24th, and said no to referendum. They had only 100,000 people left, and as they claim, 20% only voted, and 70% of those that left are elderly people who cannot travel. And so with pointing guns on them, they tell them to tick the box. Well, of course people cannot refuse the armed people. Another question that is quite relevant for today is mobilization, enforced mobilization of our people, which they want, and as far as we know, the invaders have already been practicing in the temporarily occupied territory. So what's the situation in Mariupol? Will Mariupol residents remain hostages of this situation? Because according to our information, there is no way to leave the city now. Well, judging by the available statistics, a week ago, about 80 to 120 people a day would leave the city to go back to Ukraine. Over the last 24 hours, only 8 people left, so they're closing down the city. Why do they do that? This poll that they're carrying out, they want to transform into some legislative initiative at the level of the Russian Federation Parliament. Why? Well, to decide something. Decide what? So that the people who stay in Mariupol, they would be in danger, especially men whom then they would forcefully mobilize, because the city would be identified as the territory of something, and this something would be mobilizing them. The poor regions of Russia are already under mobilization already, but how would they stay kind to people whom they were killing from the beginning of the invasion? Because they were at the outskirts of the city, and then they shelled the city with missiles and artillery. So they will mobilize people, they would send them to the front lines and use them as cannon fodder. Unfortunately, that's true. We can see that it's already happening. We can see how the occupied territory of Donetsk, which is almost virtually destroyed, and people from Mariupol that visited Donetsk, they claim that there are no men walking the streets of Donetsk. Why they're not there? They were either killed at the front lines or have been seized by the Ukrainian troops, and that's what's going to happen in Mariupol. So first they were sending out the text messages, join the DNR army or got employed. And then, if you got employed as a civil servant, then you will be mobilized. Now, when they try to transform this poll into, we know what, it's the first step to mobilization. So once again, I would like to address the men of recruitment age. Try to leave the city of Mariupol as soon as possible, not to be recruited into so-called army of Russia, because we know what they're doing. They are destroying their own people at the front lines. They don't treat people as a value, as an asset. Mr. Vadym, can you share this message with those who stay in Mariupol now? And is it even possible to flee through the territory of Russia, or those avenues are close to them? Find any ways to flee to Ukraine, because the government of Ukraine will take care of them. And that's what our government is already doing. Like I told you, 13 support centers, which are called I Am Mariupol. We will soon open 3 more such centers. We help people social, psychologically, medically, and we jointly resolve the people's difficulties. We listen to people, we come up with the decisions. Like today we worked with the parliamentarians, the members of parliament, and came up with a very important tool to resolve the issue of residency, something that our Mariupol residents are so much are worried about. So the government will take care of Ukrainians by providing living conditions and residency to every Mariupol resident. Well, if we get back to humanitarian situation again, the heating season starts soon, and it's not going to be happening in Mariupol, but do people have basics like foodstuff, drinking water, the ability to stay warm, or is it something that is missing, all of it? In Mariupol, the situation was and still is very difficult. They offered water wells in the outskirts, claiming that see how we help to rebuild the city, that we are offering some power supplies and water supplies, but it's not happening to the majority of people, so there will be no living conditions for people. There is no willingness and no funds to make it happen there. So the humanitarian situation there is very difficult. The most important thing is that people cannot be employed, and the job opportunities that they try to lure Mariupol residents, they pay no money. So they claim that they would pay you, and then they don't, and then they show prices in the stores 5 or 10 times more than in Ukraine. So how could you bring food to the table? So unfortunately, people are not living there, they are surviving there. Colleagues, your questions? Olha Panasenko, Ukrinform. Tell us please about the mobilization. How many people do you think would be able, the invaders would be able to recruit? And is there any opportunity to avoid this? Yes, you need to leave the city. So looking at how many people could be recruited, more than 10,000 men that are in direct danger of that now. Friends, other questions, please? Mr. Vadym, let's talk about people who managed to flee and who are currently in relative safety, so to speak. So what sort of assistance they can expect to get? So how many people have requested assistance from your I Am Mariupol centers? More than 100,000. We are offering them social services, ensuring that the government payments are made to them, reinstating them, their documents, also documenting the amount of costs incurred by those people. It's important to document all those amounts, because now that the Russian Federation accounts have been frozen in EU and worldwide, we want those funds to be transformed into the assistance to us to rebuild the city of Mariupol. We're working on this now, and together with our partners, we are trying to help Mariupol residents to get employed. So come October the 1st, in all of the I Am Mariupol centers, there will be HR professionals, headhunters, who would be helping our Mariupol residents to get employed. They will be finding vacancies for them and helping them to get employed, or offer people training and retraining opportunities, again with the further employment in mind. So we signed the contract for this year and the coming year, and that's what we're going to be helping our residents with. Another important project is to help our children until the age of 14 years of age, to provide them with winter clothes. So the parents request the sizes that they need. 90% of the parents did so already. So the kids up to 14 years of age will get winter clothes. They asked us for this, and thanks to Save the Children and our partners, this project is on. Psychological rehabilitation is very important as well. We came up with 8 shifts in Vinnytsia, a large summer camp for children with their parents, and people were so grateful. Sports, social, psychological rehabilitation services rendered to them. Some of the kids, because of the Russian aggression, stopped talking at all, but being in this summer camp, they started talking to other kids, started drinking and eating without hiding themselves. So with the help of Mr. Filatov, who made it all happen, we are building a new center now, thanks to the Minister of Sports of Ukraine for providing financial resources that help to conduct rehabilitation. Late November will open the I Am Mariupol Dnipro camp, where the residents would be offered shifts for 2 weeks for rest and recreation. Well, we learned that a cultural event would be launched today with the aim of helping Mariupol garrison. So what's this event is all about? Well, this is a large project indeed. There would be no day of the city day. There would be no thousands of people gathering like last year, big event. Dozens of thousands of people were celebrating, listening to such bands as Boombox, as well as other bands that visited Mariupol. This year, we just want to help, to thank our heroes, our defenders. And by the way, we thank our president, who back in May said that the evacuation from Mariupol, well, Azovstal defenders were liberated, freed. So we are grateful to everyone that our heroes are back at home. We hope that they will start recuperating, and hopefully we'll get back to our city of Mariupol, raise the Ukrainian flag there. And now, in support of our defenders, we want to conduct a large event. Where are you? The question, where are you, is about all of us. Some of the Ukrainians are abroad, others are IDPs living scattered all around Ukraine. So we do ask our friends, where are you? But we want to come back home. And we recognize that we can get back home only due to the armed forces of Ukraine. And we are pleading with everyone to support the heroes and defenders of Mariupol, who allowed our troops to get ready to stop this horde that is still attacking our country. But we are resisting them like hell. And when the president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, became good on his words that he gave back in May to free the defenders, well, it's a clear message to other Ukrainian soldiers who are prisoners of war that they will be freed. This has already started. We will be liberating the south of Ukraine and Mariupol in particular. That's why we're launching this event, to support the armed forces of Ukraine, to support the pictures, photos made by artists, and we'll present them there. So the city is living, but we're making all the needed steps to support the armed forces of Ukraine and to come back to Ukrainian Mariupol. Thank you for finding time to come here. Hopefully all our heroes will come back home. We believe in our efforts. Glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes.